Good evening. I begin by acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians for millennia of the land on which we live, and I pay my respects to their elders past and present. My fellow Australians, today we face a choice between the past and the future, between the habits and fears of the past and the demands and opportunities of the future. There are moments in history when the whole fate and future of nations is in the balance. For Australia, this is such a time. It's time for a new national focus, a new program, a new vision of what we can achieve in this generation for our nation and the region in which we live. Today, I am announcing the formation of a cross-party national unity government to deal with the unprecedented threat to our future from climate disruption. Climate change threatens the very existence of society as we know it, in Australia and around the world. Responding adequately to climate disruption is fundamental to the survival of our nation and global community. The world knows our planet's climate is changing in dangerous ways. 10 years ago, in 2015, Australia joined the international community in aiming to keep global heating well under 2 degrees, and preferably under 1.5 degrees, to avoid dangerous climate change. Yet here we are, on the net zero 2050 emissions reduction pathway, with projected fossil fuel industry emissions possibly as high in 2050 as today, with this year likely the hottest globally in at least 100,000 years, with warming nudging 1.5 degrees right now and heading, as likely as not, towards 3 degrees, triggering an irreversible rise in sea levels of several metres that will drown coastal cities and deltas. We must now admit that the net zero 2050 path that industry, business and the media endorsed has always been high risk. It has only ever had a 50-50 chance of preventing warming beyond 2 degrees, according to conservative United Nations climate scientists. Not surprisingly, we now face extremely risky consequences, according to our Office of National Intelligence Global Climate Risk Assessment, which today I am making public. Our close allies, our Five Eyes partners, the US and UK, have made available declassified versions of similar assessments, and we now acknowledge there is no longer any reason for us to not do the same. The ONI assessment, just like those of the UK and the US, warns that within the next decades, we face a future beyond human experience of unbearable heat, unstoppable bushfires and unviable northern Australia, more emerging diseases and increased social unrest and geopolitical conflict, on top of a global food crisis. Already people are losing their homes and livelihoods. So it is clear any emissions reduction that net zero 2050 were to deliver, we now acknowledge will be too little, too late. Our emissions reduction response to date has clearly failed. Our reliance on the marketplace to reduce emissions efficiently has been misplaced. Unfortunately, business as usual won't enable the necessary emissions reductions quickly enough. We have been telling you to take it easy, to stand where you are and enjoy the view, to avoid the difficult facts. So, with no one, government, business, the media, pointing to the crumbling cliff edge on which you stand, you've had no reason to turn around, to take a step back, to change your point of view. This, my fellow Australians, is an honest description of the problem, the level of danger we now face. Yes, our world is normal no more, and I think we all feel it in different ways, even if we can't actually say it out loud.